Well, there is a conundrum of Moises Caicedo or Moises Caicedo's second bid because everyone is talking his own, but clarity has been put outside there by Fabrizio Romano, Jacobs Ben, and very many other people close to Arsenal about the second bid that is being rumored that Arsenal have submitted into Brighton to sign Moises Caicedo. Welcome to Rokani Media Football. How are you guys and where are you watching us from? Smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Before I really go any further about Moises Caicedo, let me confirm to you that the player I told you about that is really flying to UK to undergo his medical, as confirmed to us by the Segel Central, is now close to joining a team known as Arsenal. This is a player I told you about in the morning that Arsenal are really looking at to sign. Brighton are really looking at to sign as a player to come in through and really replace Moises Caicedo. And that means this deal of Moises Caicedo to Arsenal is just not far away from happening because a player has touched down in England and obviously he's set to undergo his medical and documents are set to be signed after him getting what we call the permit, the UK permit, because it's now hard because because UK exited the European Union. Now, Fabrizio Romano has told us that Brighton have completed the signing of Swedish talent Yasin Ayari. Deal agreed with AIK last week for €6 million. Contract completed. Ayari in England to undergo his medical and sign the documents, meaning that the player that is going to replace Moises Caicedo at Arsenal has completed everything. He has signed the documents and he's undergoing his medical in England, meaning that Moises Caicedo to Arsenal is really going to happen because it looks like everything is flowing the way of Arsenal and the pressure Arsenal have put on the player has also gone ahead to put on more pressure. The player has arrived and everything has been signed, confirmed to us by Fabrizio Romano. Remember, I told you about this gentleman in the morning. He's still having 20 years of age, I think. 18, 20, very, very young at the club of a team called AIK. Brighton has brought him in as a replacement for Moises Caicedo and it's done and dusted. What does that mean? It means that this deal of Moises Caicedo is going to happen. Now, let's go to the conundrum of the bids because I thought that that was a very important story to come up with because it's a continuation of the story that I did first in the morning about the green light of Moises Caicedo to Arsenal. All Moises Caicedo to Arsenal boost. Now, we are told today by Ekrem Konar, he's one of the global transfer experts, that Arsenal have submitted a second bid offer worth up to £70 million for Ecuador midfielder Moises Caicedo, but Brighton want £80 million for the 21-year-old. That is Ekrem Konar. He told us that. Then we got another report coming in from Ecuador. This is an Ecuadorian publication known as Tede Potes. They've told us that they're even having a blue tick, having close to 90,000 followers, that Arsenal have sent its latest bid to Brighton with an increase of £5 million. That means they've put their £75 million now in order to convince the Segals and allow them to sign Moises Caicedo. For this, we felt a little bit concerned that maybe it's true because this guy or this publication comes in from the country where Moises Caicedo was born and bred, that is Ecuador, and that means that publication is being fed in by the agent, all the representatives of Moises Caicedo. Right now, the talk of town in Ecuador is about Moises Caicedo about to make his well-desired move to Arsenal, a team that is just away from winning the Premier League. Remember, Moises Caicedo comes from the same country like Antonio Valencia, who played for Manchester United, and he lifted the Premier League close to how many times? Is it 2 or 3 times at Manchester United? And Moises Caicedo is another player that is going to Arsenal. So that means these people in his country are really anticipative of the next step of this lad. What does that mean? He needs to go to Arsenal and they are really so much close to this deal, meaning that this story came in through and it was being brought to us by a source coming in from Ecuador, meaning that there is a person sending message to Brighton, to this Tede Teradete Potes publication from Ecuador, because there is no way they could put out such a story, because it's the first time we are seeing them on the globe telling us something concerning Moises Caicedo. Maybe the agent of Moises Caicedo was told that we are planning to put in a bid of such and such amount of money as a second bid coming in through. But right now, Fabrizio Romano has gone ahead and really said about the second bid. And there is a conundrum and a confusion, because a report coming in from Ecuador saying Arsenal have put their second bid, but they were nowhere near telling us that Caicedo's bid was submitted by Arsenal on Friday. Nowhere near. But let's hear from a man who really broke the story that Arsenal have submitted a £60 million bid for Caicedo, Fabrizio Romano. And this is what he had to let us know about this Caicedo story. He's telling us that Arsenal have not submitted a new bid on Saturday for Moises Caicedo, but understand club discussing internally about new proposal for £70 million package with add-ons included. Brighton insist on no intention to sell Moises Caicedo in January, not for that money. Now, for Brighton coming out and really telling us that they are not going to sell Moises Caicedo, I told you that is just a trick or a trickery put out by them to buy some time to get in the replacement of Moises Caicedo. And obviously, Ayari has been brought in as a replacement of Moises Caicedo. And trust me, in the next 2 or 3 days, this deal is going to happen. And it's most expectedly happening tomorrow on Monday, because them insisting was to inform the clubs they are dealing with to sign a midfielder that we are not willing to sell this player, so don't ransom us. Don't price us out of a move of this lad. So, as things stand, Brighton are really trying to elongate the game, get some spacing time, get some time and re-sign the player. But he's telling us that no bid has been really submitted. That is Fabrizio Romano. But the most important bit of it is that every person that is talking about Arsenal submitting a second bid, he's talking about the range of £70 million. Even Fabrizio is telling us that Arsenal is internally discussing to make a £70 million bid with add-ons included. This is where he differs from others, because others are telling us that Arsenal made a £70 million bid, that is Ekrem Kona from Turkey, but it was denied and Brighton want £80 million. Then the publication from Ecuador are telling us that Arsenal has made a bid of £80 million, meaning that there is a little bit of lapse in the amount of money being discussed, but that shows you that a deal might happen, all materialize between £70 million and £80 million, guaranteed fees plus add-ons. So I think there is something that Fabrizio is talking about, and here I'm going to side with Fabrizio Romano. Do you know why? Fabrizio Romano is the first person that broke the story of Arsenal making a bid of £60 million for the player known as Moises Caicedo. So, if at all they've not told him that a second bid is in, then it's not yet in. So, I think Fabrizio has got it right and we need to ride with him. But I don't really tarnish or rubbish what the others have said, but I believe a bid is coming in. But for them, they've gotten news that the Arsenal is planning a bid, but they reported a story prior to its happening, but no bid has gone in from Arsenal to a side known as Brighton. Then even Jacques Ben has told us that Brighton directly told Arsenal on Saturday that Caicedo isn't for sale, and the Gunners did not place a new bid yesterday. I'm told Caicedo's agents haven't given up though, and they are still trying everything possible for their new client. That's it. Jacobs Ben confirming to us that Caicedo is not for sale. But I told you the reason as to why Brighton is saying the player is not for sale. They're buying themselves time to get in the replacement, and now they're going to let him out, because they did the same thing on Cucurella, who really went to Chelsea. They said he's not for sale. The player said, I want out. Obviously, the player was let out and he signed for Chelsea. And I believe Caicedo is going to sign for a club known as Arsenal. Then there is an Arsenal correspondent for the Evening Standard, known as Simon Collins, telling us that Arsenal want to sign a midfielder before the transfer deadline and their top target is Moises Caicedo, but Brighton are adamant he's not for sale during the current transfer window. They'll have to say that, but Arsenal are really up for this. And it's hard for a team to go out and really make a bid of such a magnitude of a fee and the player is not for sale. The player is up for sale. That's it. They know Caicedo can't be a variable for them to play or to play for them for the rest of their life, because the player has surpassed the level of playing for Brighton and his levels have really reached a level of really playing for a team called Arsenal. Now, David Austin yesterday on Saturday told us that Brighton have told Chelsea and Arsenal target Moises Caicedo to stay away from training ground until the end of the January transfer window amid speculation over his future. They expect him to stay at the club for the second half of the season. That's it. But this came after the player put out a public transfer request that I really want to quit Brighton and go to Arsenal. That's it. So, as things stand, Moises Caicedo is banned from really attending the services of training, but he was the first to really do this, and I think the club was really right to really put out this statement, to really go ahead and really rival that statement that really put out. And now, after Moises Caicedo, second bid conundrum, let's get into this player of Arsenal, the right back that really wants to quit Arsenal. He goes by the names of Cedric Soares. And this time round, the Mail Sport have reported to us that Arsenal's Cedric Soares is close to joining Fulham this window. Fulham are hopeful of doing a deal in the coming days to acquire Cedric from Arsenal on loan basis, with the entirety of his 100,000 wages being covered. So, I think if Arsenal loan Cedric Soares to Fulham and they are willing to pay his entire weekly wage, that's a very huge waiver from Arsenal. Very huge wage waiver from Arsenal, because £100,000 a week, that is £400,000 a month. When you multiply it times 6, that is £2.6 million that Arsenal would have saved. And you know, with the sales and bringing in they're making, they need to balance up everything. So I think that will be a very good side, and I think a loan fee will be added onto that deal for the player, meaning that Arsenal will be getting in more football money to balance up their books, to not violate the FIFA financial fair play rule. So I believe Cedric Soares, it's high time he left a club known Arsenal. No further plans for him. Even against City, he never played. It was Tomiyasu that played as a right back for the entire 90 minutes, meaning that he's third fiddle in the picking order of Mikel Arteta. That means you have no importance for the club, though they cannot come and really tell it to you verbally. But the fact is, he is nowhere near the starting 11 of Arsenal. What do you have to do? You go where you are wanted, unless otherwise want to stand lift a Premier League trophy. But do you get a trophy, or do you get a medal if at all you've not played 10 games in the Premier League? That's a question that everyone needs to go out and ask himself. But I think it's unchanged for the previous seasons. Even if your team lifts up the Premier League, you don't get a Premier League medal unless you've played 10 games in the entire season of 38 games of the Premier League. So, has he even played 5 or 6? I doubt he hasn't. So, I see him as a player that really needs to find his way out of the club of Arsenal, and I think it's stipulated outside there that he's not needed. He must feel it with his agent. If he feels he wants to play ball, let him go to a side known as Fulham and play football there, because I believe he's better than the right back they've got. I believe he's better. Now, lastly, allow me to throw in this story coming in from Jody Gill. It's all about Barcelona have asked Atletico Madrid for Joao Felix. If he decides to leave, joining Barcelona will be his favorite option. So, they are telling us that Joao Felix's favorite option is Barcelona. I think Barcelona is blowing its own trumpet. Do you know why? Joao Felix played his first game for Chelsea and he really looked good. He really looked like he had been playing for Chelsea for a very long time, though he got a red card that really got him suspended for 3 games. not playing for Chelsea, and I think he's left with one to return. But Barcelona coming out and really saying that they are really favorites to sign the player. To me, I see it as a complete lie. Why? They don't have the money. That's it. Joao Felix will go for £100 million. That is 120 million euros. Can Barcelona splash that money on Joao Felix? The answer is no, because if they are to do that, they have to sell players. Frenkie de Jong, who is on a very huge salary, close to £400,000 a week. There is Busquets is leaving because he's earning close to £350,000 a week. That is Busquets. That will be a little bit of a waiver. But you like to see other players leave the club to accommodate a player known as Joao Felix. But with Barcelona trying to convince Lionel Messi to return back, I believe it's not ideal to bring in Joao Felix. And Joao Felix, without he's playing at Chelsea, I believe he'll tell Jorge Mendes that, let's do the needful and stay here. Guess what? Chelsea recently let out a story from its correspondents that they are willing to fit the amount of money that Atletico Madrid value a player known as Joao Felix. And with the blessing of the Lord, I think it's going to rain dollars or millions of dollars and pounds at Atletico Madrid in the sale of Joao Felix. I think they might even get back the 130 million euros they bought him from a club called Benfica. Why? Chelsea is desperate to keep this player. The player showed us cameos in the game of Fulham that sent us in high expectations. What does that mean? If he really comes in through and plays the remaining games for Chelsea and really hits the ground running and shines, scores goals for Chelsea, maybe secures them Champions League football and maybe takes them far to the semi-finals of the Champions League, that will confirm to us that Atletico Madrid will say we want 130 million euros. Now, will Barcelona be able to afford that money? That's the big question. They can't. They can't, because last season they had to pull off levers to really get in players like Rafinha, Christiansen, Jules Koundé. They brought in Marcos, this left guy that was playing for Chelsea. They brought in Lewandowski. They brought in close to 6-7 players. That is Barcelona. But they had to pull levers. It's rumored that those levers are no longer able to save the club of Barcelona. Now, who are they going to sign next? That is the most huge question that should be asked. That's it, because you can't come out and really put Barcelona in the conversation of signing a player of 130 million euros. They can't. They can't. Their situation they're into can't help them because they are in a very tight situation. They can't even register 2 players. Gavi, remember, he's growing from the academy player he was. He's turning into a player of the senior team, meaning that he's not going to be getting that leverage to play into that. The same apply to Balde. Next season, they'll have to register him as a player of Barcelona not coming from the academy. So it shows you that they are really in a very bad situation. The financial situation at Barcelona is alarming to an extent that it cannot allow them to really sign their own players that are the club right now. So if they can't sign their own players, how come that they're in the conversation of signing a player of 130 million euros? Unless a miracle happens, unless miracle money reigns at Barcelona, they won't be able to get in Joao Felix. That's it. So guys, your thoughts on Moises Caicedo second bid conundrum are welcome in the comment section below. Tell me your thoughts about Joao Felix to Barcelona. Do you think it's really applicable financially according to the financial problems Barcelona are in? Lastly, Cedric, one of the players close to joining Fulham. Are you really okay with it? Smash the like button, comment and share. Don't forget to subscribe because we want to hit 12,000 subscribers on this channel and keep it Rokani Media Football. May The Almighty Lord bless you abundantly. We are returning with one more in the next 1 or 2 hours onto the Rokani Media Football. Bye-bye and good night.